One interesting component in all of this talk about Israel and Iran has been the oil market, in my opinion, and I guess the broader markets. And that is, there really hasn't been much of a reaction. Everyone seemed to predict gloom and doom that the oil markets were just going to skyrocket, and it didn't happen. Steve Moore is our chief economist here on this show. He is the Committee to Unleash Prosperity member of great esteem. He issues that hotline newsletter that comes to your mailbox for free if you ever want to sign up to it, and we're grateful to have you this morning, Steve-O. Welcome in.
Hey, Chris. Great to be with you. And by the way, just as you were introducing me, I was looking at the latest numbers on the oil price, and the oil price is down to, well, it's at $65 a barrel right now. It had been as high as $75 a barrel. It actually fell to a low of 62. But my point is that you're exactly right, my friend, that usually when you have turmoil in the Middle East, what happens to the oil price? It shoots up. But in this case, it did go up. You know, when the first rockets were fired in Israel and Iran, but now those prices are coming down. Now, what that tells me, I'm not a foreign policy expert, I'm not a military expert, I'm an economist, but I think that tells me that the markets believe that Trump has succeeded in taking away Iran's nuclear capacity, at least for now, and that this is going to lead to a more peaceful situation in the Middle East, and therefore, and by the way, also that Iran will not be able to close down the Straits of Hormuz, where so much of the oil in the Middle East goes through. So this is all good news, my friend, and it's amazing. Trump has won.
Yeah. He also mentioned, for now, sure, everything can change, but for now he's on his way to NATO. By the way, he's gotten them to pony up money, too. Supreme Court sided with him yesterday. He thinks he's got Israel and Iran on a stand down, although he's ticked off at them this morning because they're volleying a little bit back and forth. But anyway, let me ask you specifically about this oil thing, because he got on Truth Social yesterday and said, all right, time to drill, baby, drill. Chris Wright, the energy secretary, said, on it, boss. We'll start drilling. I don't know what that means, but I think we have a depleted strategic oil reserve, as we know. And apparently, as I read yesterday, and I didn't know this, the president can take unilateral executive emergency action to create more oil if necessary. Did you know that? I wasn't aware. There is a provision that he can do that if he wants, and he may pull that trigger if necessary. I don't think he needs to now, but he may.
Yeah, so I believe that power is under the Defense Production Act. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but I'll say this: why aren't we doing that anyway? I mean, why haven't we been doing that for the last 5 or 10 years? I mean, it made no sense under Biden. And remember, the first thing he did was kill pipeline, so we couldn't transport our oil and gas, even if we could drill it. And so we now have the capacity under Trump and the willpower to produce far more oil and gas, keep the price low, and that benefits consumers. One of the reasons that consumer prices haven't been rising as they did under Biden is because we are producing more energy. So let's do it. I mean, it's a win-win for America, both in terms of bringing down prices, but also to ensure our national security. So in every way, it creates good-paying jobs. And by the way, we have oil in Oklahoma. We've got it in North Dakota. You got some in Pennsylvania there. You've got it in all over the country. So we should be using our energy resources, not just oil, gas, coal. We should use all of it, Chris.
Steve Moore, our chief economist here on the show. He is the author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity. Again, you can get his hotline newsletter in your email box from the Committee to Unleash Prosperity every day for free. Steve-O, he also posted on Truth Social this morning that Jerome Powell is headed to Capitol Hill. He's a bonehead. He's stubborn. And Trump is ticked off. He wants those interest rates lowered. He said Europe has lowered it like 10 times. What the hell is wrong with you? Too late, Jerome Powell. You say?
Well, first of all, I think that Jerome Powell, let's face it, I mean, I think your listeners are smart enough to know that there's no love lost between Jerome Powell and Donald Trump. This feud has been going on for a long time. Although people should remember, Powell was actually appointed to the Federal Reserve Board originally by Trump, and every time I see the president, he says, Steve, I made a big mistake with Jerome Powell, didn't I? Yes, you did, sir. That was not a great choice. But here's the thing, and as we talked about last last week. I could see a case for lowering rates. I could see a case for keeping them where they are. But you got to explain to me, somebody's got to explain to me, if you're a Jerome Powell fan, how it is that, remember what happened right before the election? Do you remember what Jerome Powell did, Chris?
Oh, sure.
He lowered rates a couple times. Putting a little juice in the economy right before the election to help the incumbent party, to help Kamala Harris get elected. That's the only explanation, because here we are today, Chris, and the inflation rate is lower today than it was back in September and October when he lowered rates the last time. So he lowers rates when Biden is president, but he won't lower them when inflation is even lower when Trump is president. So what do you make of that? I think it's political. I really do.
Yeah. Clearly, and Powell will say, well, no, we just don't know the fallout yet from Trump's untested tariffs.
Right.
And what about that? I mean, incidentally, everybody that was puckering for disaster after tariffs, that didn't come either, much like the oil prices didn't skyrocket after Trump hit Iran. I mean, these things that people keep predicting aren't happening, at least right now, Steve.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Chris. I mean, this is a point that my buddy Larry Kudlow is making all the time on Fox, and he's exactly right. That, okay, so where is the inflation from the tariffs? Come on, show me, Jerome. Where is it? Because I don't see it. Our inflation rate is running at about 2.5% to 3%. That's a little above where we want it, but it's pretty much in the sweet zone. So why is he? And incidentally, we don't know what's going to happen with the tariffs. I mean, Trump has already gotten a few big deals done, and if he gets more deals done, that means that the tariffs are going to be lowered in these other countries, which will lower prices, not raise them. So what I'm saying is this guy has become incredibly political. It's time for him to go. Now, I don't think Trump is going to try to dismiss him now. I think he's going to wait him out until another, 6 or 9 months, and then replace him with somebody. I don't know. What about Larry Kudlow or Art Laffer or Steve Forbes
or you?
Somebody like that. Not me. Huh? Somebody who will. What we want from our monetary policy, folks, is a stable pricing system where prices don't fluctuate up and down like they did, mostly up under Biden, and that hasn't. Look, Powell's the one who gave us the 30% increase in grocery prices and gas prices during Biden's administration. That's an F grade, sir. You should leave that position because you don't know what you're doing.
One of the things about this economy that continues to interest me, you and I have talked a lot about it in the past, and I think it's a canary in the coal mine element always, is housing. Housing continues to be very sluggish out there. People aren't buying them, and the reason they aren't buying them, and a lot of guys aren't building them, is because of interest rates. Yes or no? I mean, that's what I read.
Partly. I mean, we have a housing shortage in the United States because there's so many areas of the country where you just are precluded from building because of zoning laws and things of that nature. But we saw a big run-up in housing prices over the last 25 years. We do need more construction of housing. I'll tell you one quick story, Chris. I think I may have mentioned this to you before, but I am on the board of a company, a new robotics company. We build houses with robots. It's the most amazing technology. It's coming quickly. And think about what that'll do to the house cost of building a new house if robots can do this work. And they can do about 60 to 70% of it. And so, I think through technology, we can lower the prices of housing. But you're right. It would help if we could bring the mortgage rate down. But that requires keeping inflation under control. What the big driver of mortgage rates is inflationary expectations. And I'm old enough. I'm a little older than you, Chris. I'm old enough to remember when 18% mortgage rates. Now, what are they today? 6 or 7%. That's still too high, but my gosh, it's not the 18% when we had under Jimmy Carter when inflation was out of control.
Yeah, it is enough for somebody that's sitting on some equity in their house to think about selling and buying a new. I mean, people are thinking, well, I'm locked at 2-something or 3% interest rate. If I double my interest rate with a new purchase, I'll just sit here and not sell. I think is what's happening for a lot of people anyway. Quickly, could I ask you about the big, beautiful bill before I let you go? Thune is apparently still saying July 4th. What are you thinking?
Goy, I hope so. I'd love to see that. This is a big stimulus to the economy. And incidentally, I was just looking at some polls before I came on your show. Still, only half of Americans are aware of the fact that their taxes are going to go way, way up on January 1st if we don't get this thing done. So the main benefit of this is to make sure we don't have an economic calamity in 2026. Let's get this done. Let's get it signed, sealed, delivered. And I think once that happens, Chris, I think you're going to see a big boom in the economy and a big boom in the stock market.
Steve-O, we are always grateful to pick your brain at the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. The book is called The Trump Economic Miracle. Go snag it. You can get that hotline newsletter from Steve-O and follow him on X at Stephen Moore with a PH. Good to catch up, sir.
Cheers, sir. Take care.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.